You're alive. Woo. That's a shaker right there. Hey, everybody out there, Chiefs Kingdom YouTube. It is your boy, Big Chief Shawn, man. We chatting with that man, the one and only, one of the greatest sports analysts I've had the honor to know for a little while now. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Harms on RGR Football. Give it up.
Thanks, man. You're
What is
far
up,
too
man?
kind.
Well, you deserve it, man. You work really hard. I mean, this man right here works on streams at least 4 times a week. Not to mention doing analyst work for Locked On Chiefs and all kind of other private, all kind of other projects. I don't even know how he finds the time, but he finds it and he executes like flawlessly. So it's a very honor for having you here, man.
Thank you. I mean,
How
I
you
don't
been?
even know where. I'm good. I'm good. I don't know where to find time either, man. It just kind of like falls through your fingers throughout the day, and you just gotta like find time for every little thing here and there. So yeah, it's been a struggle lately.
I know, man, because obviously with you and Ryan have been so busy. The season has started, and just so much has been going on. It's only been 2 weeks. Can you
Yeah,
believe
right.
that? It's only been
Nuts,
two
man.
weeks. So, how's everything going with you, man?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's just trying to figure out the whole plan for the channel because we have, we got you, we have Jason Dunn and Marcus Dash. We have all bunch of content on RGR. We're just trying to find the best way to have everything move smoothly. So it's trying to, move myself and Gary around and Ryan stuff. And so it's been fun trying to get all of it. It's nice having a lot more contributors to add to the channel and just trying to find that peak lineup that's going to work for y'all every week. So it's going to be, we probably got that nailed down after this week. So yeah, I think we're doing good.
Man, it seems like a lot of work though, and I appreciate all the work you and Ryan put into so much effort and with so many people and so many different personalities. I mean, I know this is very difficult. So, you know, honestly, I'm very grateful for you two to even consider me to even want to do that for you guys. So,
Oh, you're great, man. It's awesome
first of
having
all,
you.
straight out the bat. But that game was crazy, right? Uh,
Yeah, that's one word for it.
I mean, it's gonna be that's a very it's an unforgettable game for sure. I mean, what were your thoughts about the game? First of all, first and foremost, before we even break down the game.
It was a good test for them early, coming off of that easy game against the Cardinals, which I don't know if anyone expected it to be super easy, but it definitely helped them, I think, be a little bit fresher in the fourth quarter. The injuries to the offensive line of the Chargers kind of helped a little bit there for the pass rush. But all in all, it's a good thing to have that test, especially on a short week. You want to make sure you get the win. Those Thursday night games are ugly. Like they're never fun to play with, especially after that first week, because everyone's like, okay, now we have the expectations for our team, and now we have to find out what this team is going to give us. And coming off of that, like I said, coming off of the easier win, I think they had a better idea that they were going to at least have some struggles up against a much better defense. The Cardinals defense didn't present any issues for them, and they were able to do whatever they wanted to. So to give it to the Chargers. They have a great coached unit on the defense. They're very disciplined. They're very athletic. They're fast. They fly all over the place. And Andy had some fun little mix-ups with his game plan. So it was nice to see them adjust in the second half, defensively and offensively, to actually come together and get that win.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I mean, that saying that was a tough game, I guess, would be an understatement, but just to see the adversity to go through everything and the back and forth and especially the pressure they put on us. I mean, and let's talk about that pressure a little bit. Were you worried at all? I mean, it is Nick Bosa, it is
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Mack. I mean, regardless, did the way they attack worried you about future games, or were you just fine with it?
It wasn't so much the way they attacked. We knew that Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa were going to offer a huge test for them. But for me, it was the first half of them not doing enough schematically to try to test the pass rush. They kind of just, after that first drive, they just let them tee off. There wasn't much play action. There wasn't a whole lot of chipping in the first half to really help Andrew Wiley, to help Orlando Brown, who their strength isn't necessarily pass rush or pass protection. As much as Orlando Brown has, I think he improved over the course of last year. His start to this season has not been great, especially for a guy who wants to get paid. He's not doing himself a favor right now to get that money, in my opinion. And
Right.
I might be wrong, but we'll see how it ends up. It's only week 2. Got a lot of time to work. I know, again, short weeks, weird things happened, and I honestly believe that Andy Reid tried the run game early He didn't stick with it, and he just went away from it and went to quick pass game, and that kind of got him in some trouble when you have a defense that showed you some simulated pressures that I don't think they were ready for. Mahomes got a little bit hold on to that football a little bit too long. And that's when you started to see some of the pass rush get home. You started to see the decision-making start to come through in a negative way for Mahomes. But I do think the second half they made much better decisions. They got back to the run game, some more heavy personnel. They did maybe some play action, not a ton of it, but they added more chips from the running backs. That was the biggest thing that I noticed, that they actually adjusted their game plan properly. And that was everything you're looking for, is a team that takes basically a punch on the chin, and then they come back, they reevaluate, and they redistribute their offense and their defense, and they found a way to pull it out.
From what the sports media makes it sound like we barely got through with the hair of our chin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, through the basis of the game, is there anything you saw or needed improvement like immediately, or just something like, well, this was a difficult game, so it was going to be like that anyway? Or did you see something like, well, we're playing a good team and it's revealed something and we need to work on it?
They absolutely have to stop putting Rashad Fenton on an island against a guy whose best ability is to go get the football. Has to stop. You watched last year, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, all these ball-winning receivers against Rashad Fenton. They always win. And we've seen Mike Williams in this division for the last 4 years. It's not new information. The game plan has to change a little bit with those specific players. If Keenan Allen was just separating against everybody, okay, you live with it because he's an excellent route runner. You can take away a ball winner. You just bracket him, and he's gone. And that's what happened in the second half. They finally adjusted to it. And after that catch for the touchdown, they were like, fine, we're not doing this. We're going to play some cover two deep and force them to beat us underneath. They don't have the weapons to do that. Like, they had no way of being able to do that in the second half, and it showed. The defense was locked down. Yeah, they'd let maybe some first and second downs go for 5, 6, 7 yards. After that, in short area, they were excellent. They were making them go to third, go to fourth down. You're going to lose a lot of those fourth downs. That's one thing to keep an eye on for future of this season, is watch the fourth downs. I think they've only stopped 1 fourth down this year. Everything else has been completed. So they got to tighten that up just a little bit. I know it's week 2. There's some things they got to figure out. But third down defense last week, or on Thursday, was excellent. I think it was 4 of 13 or 14 that they had let up. Like, that's great. Right. They did a great job there. So that gives you some hope, especially if they can find a way to knock down some of those 7, 8 yard gains on first or second down. You all of a sudden becomes third and long, or third and manageable for the offense, not short, which is what you're looking for. So yeah, I think that if they find a way to stop doing that with ball winning guys down the field, I'll be happy. And they'll finally have some ways to make it a little tougher on a quarterback than just throw it up and he just comes down with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Rashad Fenton, he's a good man, good dude. When he's in the right position, he's a good player. It's just, you're right, man. When they put him on that island, that's just not him. That's just not his style of play. I mean, or it's not his expertise yet, or however you want to put that nicest way as possible. But when they do that, it does kind of make me question it. And talking about questioning it, something about the defense kind of worried me in that game. I mean, maybe it's just because they were a very good offense. I mean, you could say that Justin Herbert did make some pretty decent numbers.
Yeah.
Or I wanted to, well, I mean, we did get to see defensive penetration towards the end of the game. I mean, especially when we hit him right there in the ribs, you could clearly tell he wasn't 100%. I mean, do you see that kind of energy getting protected or, projected for the next game? Or do you see, because of what they did to somebody who's hard to hit, like Justin Herbert, do you think that gave the defense any confidence at all? Like,
I hope so. I think that they finally, Chris Jones was getting handled by a rookie. Their offense was doing exactly what they wanted to. They were running the football, and then they were doing play action off of it and eliminating any pass rush. In that first half, that's what they did. Then, like I said, the injuries got to him. They moved Chris Jones from Zion Johnson to Matt Filer, and then Chris Jones said, I'm dominating the rest of the game, and he was. He was basically unblockable. Mike Dana pushed down inside a few times, and he was beating Zion Johnson on the left side, which I was like, okay. I mean, Chris Jones can't do it, but Mike Dana can do it. I'm like, oh, okay, I can deal with this. I can get some of this. So it was nice to see them adjust, use some more simulated pressures as well, some mixing up. Like, that was the one thing in the second half I loved, seeing Spags mix it up a little bit, give him some too high, give him some man coverage, give him some drop 8 and only rush 3, blitz a little bit here and there. He did a good job of finally mixing up in the second half. And I've talked poorly about Spags in the first half because of what he did to Mike Williams. Let him be what he's always been, a great receiver, basically Calvin Johnson in his prime against the Chiefs. But he finally let himself adapt a little bit. I think that shows a bit of growth. I was much more critical earlier, probably on Friday than I have been recently. So it's been trying to let my emotions not dictate how I treat everything. And that's really what I come down to. I rewatched the game multiple times, and the additions to what they did defensively. Yeah, the pass rush might be a worry, but I think coming into the season, I was always worried about how it was going to be. If you're playing a good offensive line with a good scheme that has all of these abilities to, have multiple players, you have Justin Herbert, you're worried about him throwing the ball down the field and distributing it. So as long as they continue to work off of it, and I think just get more confidence in themselves, I think Mike Dan is playing confidently. Chris Jones, coming off of that performance, is going to be a bit more confident himself. I think, really Carlos Dunlap had a good game too. He was getting some pressures in his limited time. I think that's going to be helpful for them going forward. The amount of guys they rotate in there is going to help. It's going to help Frank. It's going to help George. It's going to help everybody. So I think collectively, after this rest they're going to have, they're going to come out against the Colts and be much more confident as a pass rush unit.
Yeah, I believe that too. I think Carlos Dunlap finally found that game to where everybody could remember who he was. He was kind of quiet since we had him, but this game kind of changed that. Now, talking about the Colts game, and because I really wanted your opinion on it, since I have you right here, man, they have a fierce running game. And we had slight issues with the run game against the Chargers. Yeah. I mean, we could see like a really bad, like a really good rushing attack on us. Do you think there's anything that they need to prepare? Like, is there any way to prepare for it though? Because that runner they have for the Colts is amazing, man. Like,
So when you look at this game against the Colts for the rushing side, I think that this is where we might see Spags start to understand. I think like you look back to the Tennessee game last year, where they focused on stopping Derrick Henry. You said, hey, Nick, go out there, shut down Derrick Henry. That's your job. I think they can do that to an extent in this game. I don't think the Colts offensive line is extremely healthy. Their left tackle spot is a big, big problem. We saw it today against the Jaguars. The Jaguars were all over Matt Ryan, and initially in that game, they couldn't get anything going in the run game. So I think that the Chiefs have an opportunity, especially, I'm not trying to project injury, but if Michael Pittman doesn't play in this game, there is not one person in that wide receiver room, the tight end room, that scares me. I don't think that they have any ability to beat the Chiefs on throwing the football. So you stop Jonathan Taylor. That's what it is. And you take Dick Bolton and say, just go hit him. I don't care what you do. Just go get him. And I think you can find a way to make this a one-sided affair. You can find a way to make them one-dimensional. And honestly, Matt Ryan does not look very good. He looks uncomfortable. He looks old, which he is. And that's bound to happen.
Is this like his 13th season, 14th season?
He's like 37, 38 now, I think. So, he's been in the woods there for a while.
Draft class as Manning, wasn't he?
I don't think so. I think Matt Ryan was 2008, 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that right?
I think so. I'm going to look it up real quick.
I'm pretty sure you're right on that. I just don't really see it. That's the only threat I really see. Jonathan Taylor is such a noticeable threat. You know what I mean? And I worry about that defensive line and that run stoppage because last week, man, he wasn't he wasn't top tier. I don't think he did. Did they even get 100 yards rushing on us?
Chargers?
Yeah.
No, there wasn't the 100 rusher on us. They actually did a pretty good job of limiting big runs. It was just more of 7-8 yard chunks that they had. So, and then again, they stopped on those second and shorts, those third and shorts, and they didn't have very much success getting big runs and explosive runs. So yeah, I think they did a pretty good job overall.
Yeah, and obviously that's the only thing because I'm not worried. I don't know who they have over there receiving core that, like you said, is even a threat. So I don't even know how. I'm not going to say this game is going to be just like a walk in the park like the Cardinals or anything like
that. They're going
to
be pissed off coming off getting their asses handed to them by the Jaguars. I can tell you that much. At least there's that.
Wait a minute, hold up. I didn't even get to finish that game. Are you for a second there, it made it sound like they lost to the Jaguars.
They did 24-0.
Are you
They didn't score a point.
Are you serious right now? You messing with me?
I'm dead serious. The Jaguars beat the Colts 23-0. This is disgusting, man.
Wow. That is almost disappointing. To you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I understand.
I was thinking like they were going to have this game plan, and Matt Ryan was going to try to find a resurgence of something.
Yeah, everyone was hurt though, man. Both of their two, I mean, Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce both were hurt in that game, and they just apparently didn't know what to do without them.
That's just terrible coaching. It sounds like to me. Like, wow. I was really sitting here about you was about to say the Colts won, however, such and such for such and such, but they still could do this, blah blah blah. That just killed an entire argument that I kind of had because I was sitting here thinking, seriously, I was sitting here like contemplating, like, oh man, the Colts are probably gonna have this, and they just got dubbed by Jacksonville. What?
Got drubbed by him. It wasn't even a game.
Were they at home?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't know.
I don't think it matters now, but
it doesn't matter anyway. But yeah,
but like what?
No, they were in Jacksonville.
Right now. Like what? What is that? What does that even mean? Like, oh my, wow! Like that really messes it up for me. The respect I have for Matt Ryan, like it's not well. Yeah, it's gone. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like what? The defense 20. What you said 24-0. So
I think it was 23. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was only what 3 scores, a safety maybe.
I think it was 2 field goals and 2 touchdowns.
Okay, or that yeah, two field goals. Wow. Well, it doesn't sound like the defense been too bad, I guess, because I mean, there's only 4 scores in a whole game. Statistically, that is not bad defense, but you can't do that. Oh, what the hell? You just killed an entire argument. Thanks a lot, Dad.
No
you just
problem.
Killed a whole damn argument. I had this whole thing like, but what if the Colts? And it's like, never mind all that. Well, how about this? What did you think of our new defense? Do you think it's emerging, or is it going to be like our defenses of old and wait till like week 11 to show up then?
So I think they're already kind of showing up. I think that they're doing a good job of displaying some of their better players, their youth and their speed. Justin Reed's coming off playing pretty well. I think Juan Thornhill is playing better than he has since his rookie season. Those are really what you're looking for. Obviously, I think Jalen Watson's been really, really good. Even though he had some catches given up, he's been in a really good position. He's looking for the football, so you can see it's all kind of turning upstairs. He knows he's supposed to be where he's supposed to be. He doesn't look scared by the moment. He looks like he fits in. I love that. So I think that they're doing a good job. Hopefully, Trent McDuffie's injury isn't too serious. I can't believe that a turf injury is what's going to keep him out for a while now. I'm just hoping he can come back against the Bills. Obviously, don't rush him. That's the biggest thing here is make sure he's all right. The biggest thing for me is this defense, and I want to see more Spags being a little bit different, mixing things up a little bit, because a lot of times he does like to play games in the secondary, but I want to see more up front. Give me more actual NASCAR, which is just kicking one of your defensive ends inside next to Chris Jones, bringing in like a Carlos Dunlap, and just get more pressure. Because that first game, Cardinals' offensive line's awful. It's atrociously bad. Yeah. Injuries, and they're just not very good at overall. It looks like the Raiders are about to beat them. Like, it just doesn't look very good for the Cardinals season. Overall, their offense, it looks bad. So they need to be more consistent getting pressure. That first half against the Chiefs, they're pretty much non-existent. Like, Justin can just sit back there and set up camp, put a chair down and wait. Drink some lemonade, man. He was just having a night. And I want to see them get a little bit better at that. Get off of your blocks a little bit quicker. But that's kind of what these defensive ends are. I think Carlos Dunlap has the most juice in terms of bend and speed off the edge than anybody else, which is a little bit of a problem. So just consistently finding ways to collapse pockets with quarterbacks like Matt Ryan, who have no way of getting out of the pocket. That's what you have to
Yeah,
do.
he's not going nowhere.
No.
We clearly, both of us know the only place he's running is home or to an ice cream shop. Like,
Who knows,
we
man?
both know that he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So just about keep showing off the talent that you have. Willie Gay is continuing to do this. He's got to work on his tackling, but he's ascending. Nick Bolton's having a good second season. They look like they're ready to take a leap, and I want to see that in the next 2 games, because that's when we're gonna actually be able to tell if this defense is just going to be like, oh well, they're going to give up some plays here and there like they always do, and at the end of the game they just kind of let points up. And I don't want to see that. I want to see them play through the game, and I think they have the ability to do that.
I do too. I do too. Because obviously, Kavlanis has really like hit my radar heavy. He has such an engine to him. I love it, man. I love that pursuit. Leo Chanel's actually playing well too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's because I wanted your opinion on that defense, honestly, because you know how we've been for the last few seasons. The defense, it doesn't look too great. It waits till around mid-season, then it starts spiking, and then it peaks, and then it gets better. Then around playoffs, we have like a top 7 defense, top 6 defense. You know what I mean? Like, and that's fine with me. I mean, I'm fine with that as well. But it was just nice to see having some kind of defensive front now, so you can develop it through the year instead of waiting until the end of the year, and hopefully that we just got it together. So, I mean, I agree with you 100% about that. I mean, is there something on defense that would worry you about the Colts game?
Not really. Unless John Taylor's going to run for 300 yards. I mean, he's going to have to be their whole offense, and I don't see that happening.
Chris Jones would just step it up a little. You know what I mean? Like, quit fucking around. You know what I mean? I want him to be like, people hear me talk crap about him all the time, and I'm only hard on him because of what he's getting paid and what people ask of him, like the pedestal that we put him on. Because everybody likes Chris Jones, nice guy. You know, he can work hard. We've seen him do it before. I just wish he would take more of the leadership role and just get these guys together as more of a cohesive unit. Because the best way to me to run an offense is you got to have somebody who's willing to call the shots. Make those shots, you know what I'm saying? Say the things that people need to hear. Is there anybody on the defense you see doing that now, or should it be Chris Jones? Like,
I'm not necessarily. I don't think that anyone really knows what that is yet on the field. I think Willie might be the guy that does that in terms of calling people out in the field. He definitely seems that more of a personality. But if you look up front, I mean, Chris is more soft-spoken. He lets his play do the talking. Mike Dan doesn't talk. Frank Clark doesn't talk. Derek Nunn doesn't say a word. Like, these guys are all more soft-spoken, and they prefer to let their game do it. Even Karlaftis, to an extent, he's really right. He's buttoned up. He's been pretty buttoned up, and he's obviously trying to learn about his way in the NFL, and that's kind of how they have built that front out. So I think that they want the linebackers to be doing most of that. You know, I think Justin Reed as well. He, as well as Willie Gay, are probably going to be the 2 most vocal, for good reason, the 2 most vocal players on that defense. And I think that just the way that they play the game kind of brings that energy. And I think that Chris on Thursday, he had a little bit of a slow start, but again, sometimes you just got to make that change. And they made the change, and he dominated the second half of that game. He was living in the backfield. He was not just on passing downs and running downs. He was all over everybody. Yeah. So he played really well that game. And I think that he's healthy, obviously. So he clearly feels more comfortable this year than he did last year, which I think was the biggest problem. I'm not sure there was a time last year outside of the beginning when he was playing out of position that he felt comfortable playing. So I think he's already got 2, maybe 2.5, 3 sacks already, something like that. He are in 2 games. So I think he's on a trajectory to have a really nice season, especially from the sack department. And that's what you're looking for from Chris Jones. And I do think Willie Gay, especially with the way he's playing lately, is going to come into that vocal leadership role in the field, and I'm excited about it.
Heck yeah, man. I am too. I just know that I miss that kind of having a field general out there type of attitude. I mean, they're all good players. They all do their individual work. They all put it down 100%, and it's all good when you see it. I'm just waiting on, kind of like what Tyrann Mathieu was doing for a little while there.
Yeah.
Getting everybody in position, because when you play the elite teams, you need, to me, you need like that field general. It's just see the adjustments being made by the offense, because like you said, especially for these next 2 weeks, especially the Bucs game, like it might have to do because Brady is the kind of guy that he will adapt. He won't do what is not for his best interest. You know what I mean? So it will be nice to see somebody kind of step up to the role. I mean, you're right. Everybody's kind of soft spoken. That doesn't really hurt the team much. That nobody's being loud. It was just nice for somebody to want to be that. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. I understand. It's just finding
It's
that
not
guy.
like it's a deficiency of the team or the team
No.
will fail without it.
Yeah.
It was just nice. It's a nice little. What I don't know if security blanket is the right word to use for it, but I mean, it just would be like a nice little effort on that. And talking about effort, because I think we did. I think the Chiefs did well. I mean, for who they were playing. But by the way you hear it from the sports media, you would think we were just this ragtag team of people that got lucky. I mean, do you feel like that, or do you feel like we executed like we were supposed to?
I mean, I try not to take too much about what these sports media people talk, what they
Yeah,
say. Like it's always
so disrespectful.
this is the exact situation that the Patriots were in when the Chiefs came up. Okay, it wasn't about how the Patriots won; it was about how the Chiefs lost. And I think that's what we're seeing right now because teams get people and they always want change. They want new players coming up. Justin Herbert's special. He's an alien. Like this Chargers team is built. They went out in the offseason. They put a bunch of defensive players on the field. They improved. They're supposed to be next. It's their turn. And then the Chiefs come out. They play bad. And everyone's like, okay, the Chargers are going to win. They're going to beat the Chiefs. They're going to basically should have had 3 out of the last 3 wins. They're going to talk them up. And then the Chiefs end up winning that game anyway, and people want to talk about the Chargers, so that's what they do. I got no issue with that. I got none because the Chiefs are expected to win games. And when it comes to exhaust factor, that's what this is. No one wants to talk about how great they are, the fact that they grinded out a win, facing adversity, not playing their best game. No one wants to talk about that, man. That's not what people want. They want to hear about how the Chargers were there and Justin Herbert gutted that performance out. He played through the broken rib cartilage and he couldn't leave the field. He didn't want to stop playing. That's what they want to hear about. And that's exactly how it was for the Chiefs when in 2019. That's what it was. It's them finally ascending and people want the Chargers to do that. So that's what we're going to hear. And that's fine because Patrick Mahomes isn't a 42-year-old Tom Brady at the end of his career with the team. This is Mahomes. He's going to be here for the next 10 plus years. And Justin Herbert's not going to just have that torch passing off ceremony because Pat's never letting go of that thing. Like he's just not going to. So
as long as he can hold it.
They can talk about the Chargers all they want, and this is how it's going to be. I'm fine with that.
And that's all I'm saying because it's like you would think that we would actually get, not that we deserve it or not that it's warranted, but you would have thought we would have got more of the praise saying that they were the more well-rounded team. They like to say the better roster on paper, all this kind of other stuff, but yet we still came out with the win. I don't understand when winning was like a problem. Like you said, it's just crazy that that's all they want to talk about, the new thing, the new wave, the new this, the new that. But
that's what it is, man.
How are you talking about new when Patrick Mahomes only been here for 5 seasons? Like that's like you won't even let this course ride. I just feel like they're ready for him to fail, and that's what like with the Chargers game, they were so worried about Herbert and his ribs, which you should be because that's a very concern for a quarterback. But no one is talking about how Mahomes got pummeled a couple times, like Bosa. From what I need to go back and check the tape, but everybody's talking about Bosa kind of ran down Mahomes a little kind of funny. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I saw
why is that so quickly the narrative now? Like Mahomes has only got 1 Super Bowl win. Like, like they don't talk like this about Russ, and Russ was terrible.
I mean, Russ is falling cliff, man. There's a cliff for Russell Wilson. He's not.
Yeah, it looked like he ate the cliff.
I don't know, man. It's not great. He's not doing too well. I thought he would be better than this, but it's been a tough time for him. But it's because nobody, again, this is like the immediate gratification age that we're in. And when a team like the Chargers comes along, they want them to win. The Chiefs have won the division for the last 6 years. Like they don't want that. They want this team to come up and do it because it's better for their ratings. if you have to talk about the Chiefs every week, that kind of people kind of turn that off. And that's what it is. It's about turnover. It's about getting new people to watch your show. But that's why we do what we do, because we know more about what the Chiefs actually do. Because if you turn on one of these shows and they talk about the Chiefs, they don't know anything. This is them watching a highlight. Like they see Patrick Mahomes throw his sidearm. They see him throw the deep bomb to Justin Watson. They don't see the struggles that he went through. So they just kind of like flip it off. Like, okay, fine. Mahomes is Mahomes. That's what this is.
The dude's hands was messed up and they were really getting him. He's running around scrambling. He was already doing all this. Justin Herbert has a little issues. Everybody's worried. I'm like, well, Mahomes was getting pretty beat up too. He was limping most of that game, especially that first half.
Mm-hmm.
He was limping his ass off. Like you could clearly tell he was hurt. Whatever that hurt. Did you hear anything about that at all?
No, you won't hear anything about it. I think that he got a little, maybe it was like a stinger or, a bone bruise after the Bosa hit. Yeah. He kind of flung himself at Patrick's legs because he was trying to get there. And that's why I didn't make such a big deal about it. Everyone was like posting the clip of him digging his foot into the ground. But if you're trying to sack the quarterback, that's your job. You think you're falling to the ground, you're still trying to get momentum there, because at the very worst, you want to be able to impact the throw. So I don't think it was an intentional, I'm trying to be a dirty player, because I don't believe that was his intention to do. But it was obvious that he was trying to impact the throw somehow, and he just did what he could. So you see some obvious intention towards the legs of Mahomes, and it ended up causing him some pain. That's at least my interpretation.
Well, I mean, that's a fair assumption, man. I mean, he's a tough dude. He plays it tough. He wears that pain on his sleeve. He doesn't really let it bother him. So I do applaud him for the way he's been and the way he's acted. And I love that little jab that he did with Pro Football and Focus, talking about they're going to give you a low number anyway, so knock yourself out.
Yep.
I thought that was very, very well handled.
Sees everything.
Very well handled. Now, going on to the future, man, talking about the run game, I wish, like, I agree with you, what you said earlier about them establishing the run game. Do you think, being the Colts and who they are, they don't really have a great run defense? Should we start establishing that now so we can be ready for Tampa Bay?
I wanted them to run the ball.
Focus now on the Colts and just go, hey, we'll get what we can get. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think realistically that they don't really want to be able to run the ball against the Buccaneers. That's their defensive strength, in my opinion. I think it's most of people's opinions. That's where they've shined. I mean, the Saints were able to do it a little bit this week, so maybe there's something they can do. Honestly, it would be a good idea for the Chiefs to just become efficient at it, work at it a little bit more, and incorporate it into their full game plan more often, instead of just going right back to the quick game when maybe you have one drive that doesn't go exactly the way you want to. And that's not me saying they need to come out on first down every single time and run the ball or establish the run. Like, that's not what I don't care about that. Like, that's not what this is about. It's about setting up the defense to think that you can run the ball if you want to. Because right now, no team's afraid of the Chiefs coming out in a power I formation or a 13 personnel, because they don't have the will to establish that and say, we're going to take this and we're going to run for 10 yards. There's nothing you can do about it. That's my thing. I want to see them come out and say, we're going to do this because we have one of the best interiors in football, and Orlando Brown Jr., who's a really good run blocker. I think that they have those things, and most of the time they just don't want to establish it. But I think that they may have found some more, and hopefully go back to some of the inside in their power concepts that they used early. In the first game, they did some of that with the 13 personnel. They kind of went back to it and did a little inside zone to that 50-yard run to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the last game. I think they can find some success with that. That's where his bread and butter is. It's the duo. It's the inside zone. It's the power, pulling, letting him get behind some blockers. That's what he's best at. And obviously, we know his best route out of the backfield, an angle route. They finally used it. Rips off great run after he runs over Derwin James. So I mean,
that was so crazy. I didn't believe he had it in him for real. Like, here I thought McKinnon would be the one that carried us, but I mean, Helaire, does that? And I'm glad you brought that up, talking about the running backs, man. Like, who should we be starting? Because McKinnon plays well.
Mm-hmm.
Hilaire runs well, you know, and we still have Jones. Don't we still have him?
Yeah, but he's going to be a weekly inactive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, should we put more faith in the? Because a lot of people are so iffy about Hilaire, and there's nothing wrong with that. He hasn't really had his too much time to shine. Should we, from his performance last week, should we like give him, like let him feed him? Should we feed the beast? What's up?
I think that we've already kind of seen that that's what they want to do. The first game they came out and they said, "Hey, Clyde, take advantage," and he did. And then he scored 2 touchdowns in the red zone, and they finally said, "Okay, we're just gonna. This game's gonna be easy." So they didn't play him, and then they came out and they ran him in the first drive against the Chargers. But that's kind of predictable, isn't it? Like it's predictable. They come out and say, "I'm gonna run the ball."
I don't think they.
Okay. Maybe you should change it up a little bit with Clyde, because Clyde is a really good pass catcher. And I think that it gets lost in the shuffle coming out of college. The 2 things that he was good at was the 2019 LSU ran duo like no tomorrow. Just get doubles and get to the second level and let him manipulate those linebackers. And they was pass catching out of the backfield. We're kind of seeing the Chiefs say, okay, this is what is going to be best. And he's already had 2, in my opinion, some of his better looking games in his career. That 50-yard run was probably the fastest I've ever seen him look in the NFL. And half of it, he was running with 2 hands on the ball. He wasn't even as full gallop.
Everybody, when you fumble once as a running back, man, you have that in the back of your head. Exactly. I don't want to be the guy to drop it.
And people call him a fumbler. Dude fumbled like twice in his whole career.
That's what I mean. You get that stigma to put on you.
It's playing running back is a thankless job from every NFL fan. And I understand not liking the pick. I wouldn't have spent a first-round pick on him either. And I love Clyde. Like I think he's a very good NFL running back. I don't think he's a star, but that's not, this is a running back position. I don't think there's only a few, like 2 of them that you're going to draft. Like they're not going to be legit all the time kind of guys.
Yeah, they're not going to be like let's for instance, why I'm so terrible right now. Dude from the Titans, you're not really gonna.
There's no Derrick Henrys out there.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. You're never gonna really find a Derrick Henry in the first round too much in the draft. And that's what I was saying about Hilaire. Like that first year we got him, he impressed a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then then he went through the injuries and all that kind of stuff like that. And like you said, they're really trying to bring him out like that, but is that the right formula for it? Because I mean, should he get like 40 handles, or should he just share reps and just do what he can do?
What they're doing right now, I think, is his perfect utilization. He's going to be like Thursday is a perfect example. They came out, they ran it with Clyde, then they started to mix up a little bit, and they did the quick game. They brought Isaiah Pacheco on the field, and he lost them a 4th down. Or a 3rd down, a 3rd and short. Yeah. He ran the play the wrong way. Then they were like, okay, the rest of the game is going to be Clyde, it's going to be McKinnon, and the running backs, those 2 together are really good. Like they can alleviate each other. They kind of complement each other. McKinnon has a little bit more burst. I don't necessarily. He's obviously got more speed. Clyde has been able to really show that he's healthier and has some actual speed to him. He's not going to be the fastest guy on the field ever, but I think he's finally got maybe some mental problems out of the way. His biggest mental issue was trying to manipulate too much. Finally, we're seeing him start to hit some holes and make some decisions. He's going to get 5, 6, 7 yards at a time. So the perfect utilization for Clyde Edwards-Helaire is he's going to get the most touches, as he should, but he is a lead back in my opinion, it's a rotation. And you work Isaiah in a little bit here and there. Then you have McKinnon for your third and longs and things like that. But Clyde's going to get the most of the work, because I do think that he deserves to have most of it. He's the most complete of the 3 backs that they have.
Right.
So yeah, I do think that the way that they're doing it right now is the best way to utilize his strengths and get the most out of the running back room.
That's fair. Because what are you saying, like a ratio? Let's say a ratio like what, 70-30, 60-40?
I think right now you're seeing like a 55 and a 30 and a 15. I think that adds up right.
Okay, yeah,
something like that. Something like that.
Chat, add that up.
That's
I'm
closer to
terrible
like
at math.
95. But that's more
Yeah,
what I'm
whatever.
getting
I
at.
know what you're saying though. I know what you're saying though. And that's good. I'm glad that you said that though. Now let's stick with the offense a little bit. The wide receiving core last week looked like they had a lot of struggles. I mean, yeah, Derwin
Mhm.
James. There's a lot of good defensive out there. Have we found a number one guy yet? Or is Mahomes just like I ain't depending on nobody. I'm doing my own
Mhm.
thing.
I mean, it's always going to be Kelsey, but I think right now he's, in my opinion, after watching the game, he is trying to feed the ball to MVS in some ways that he doesn't need to be doing. They paid him in
Right.
the offseason a little bit more than he was worth, in my opinion. And right now, you watch that Chargers game multiple times where he threw it to him because he was one-on-one and he had the favorable matchup.
Yeah.
He's not open. He can't get open, and he can't be a Mike Williams type player when he's open, or when he's not open, he's open. That's not his game. And that's my biggest issue right now, is that it feels like he's trying to force MVS to be something, or the offense is trying to force MVS to be something that he's not. He is not a one. In my opinion, he's not even a two. He's a complementary player. And they paid him like a two, like a 1.5 2. You can't be doing that with these kind of players. And that's my biggest issue. I think that they're going to find that Juju, Hardman, and Sky are the three best receivers to have on the field, because you have the zone beater in Juju Smith-Schuster. I think that McColl has become much better at beating man coverage, especially because they're using him on slants and in breakers, which is how you utilize his speed. And then you have the Sky Moore, who can do both. He can beat man coverage and release very quickly, along with finding soft spots in zone. I think those are the three best receivers that the Chiefs have. And as the season goes along, you're going to find that maybe MVS plays the most snaps, but he's not going to be the most involved player.
Yeah. Well, hopefully for me, I kind of wanted it to be Miko, just to prove a
Yeah.
point that he could be, but
He's
I don't
getting
know.
the
I'm not.
deep looks. Like
Yeah,
there's multiple times now where, like, the first game, he should have had 150 yards. He
yeah.
should have had 150 yards. So
He was open a lot. He was
they
open a
are
lot in the Cardinals game.
they're actively trying to work him into getting some deep shots. He was open actually a couple different times, and I think in the Chargers game that he didn't get. So they're finding ways to get his speed, to utilize his speed, and he's getting open a little bit better than he did last year. So that's at least a step in the right direction for McColl.
Yeah, I think so too. I guess this is fine for not having. Everybody says that with the Tyreek thing. Now that he's gone, he's less reliant. He's not really looking for a guy. He's looking for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
including Kelsey as well. Because I mean, you don't want to depend on one person for too
Yeah,
much,
for sure.
to anything. But what do you think is the motive? What do you think is the offensive idea of going in with the Colts game? Then, like, should we just stick with formula? Should somebody actually get some? Because we're talking about the Colts, and that was you telling me them losing like that to Jacksonville. I know that doesn't etch anything in the stone, especially when we were talking about football. You can lose to a crappy team
Yeah.
1 week and beat the best team in the league the week after that. I mean, is there a way we should go by this? Like offense first, offensively, is there a way we should just try to get those wide receivers back in the car? We should try maybe to establish a run game. Like, could this be the game to do that?
So the Colts now have Gus Bradley as their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And if you guys remember, Gus Bradley was the Raiders defensive coordinator before. Guy who didn't blitz a whole lot, played a lot of cover three. And Patrick absolutely crushed these defenses. Absolutely crushed these defenses. So it wouldn't surprise me. I know that he, at least in week one, he blitzed a little bit more towards league average. So maybe he's trying to also change his ways. But if Gus Bradley comes out and blitzes Patrick Mahomes, that team is going to get lit up like a Christmas tree. And it is September, y'all. Like, he is going to absolutely light them up. So I think that they're going to do relatively more of what they did against the Cardinals, which is, again, spread the ball around and find those mismatches, get back to the 13 personnel where you can run or throw out of it, because Noah Gray is improving himself as a pass catcher, as a blocker. I think Jody's done the same as well. So I think that they can find some ways to utilize that. Again, get the running backs involved in the passing game. Let Sky get a little bit more involved. Hit McColl on some short to intermediate routes. I think they're going to do the same thing they did against the Cardinals, and that's going to be spread the ball around. But at the end of the day, it might be somebody different leading them. I think that's what they want to do, is still spread it around and then have one player every week be their leading receiver, so that teams have to stop focusing on just like Travis Kelce or just Tyreek Hill like they used to. So they would be an even threat all over.
So you saying not to find a guy, just make sure you find people. You're saying they pretty much just going to make sure one guy gets probably a little bit above everyone else, but everybody's going to get looked at.
Yep, just want Mahomes to find the open guy. Doesn't matter who it is. You find him, that's all that matters. Like, that's what this offense needs to be.
So defensively, how are we working with this? Like, should we just focus heavy on run defense and just?
I told you what I'm doing. Like, I'm gonna have my 4 down linemen, and then I'm gonna get in Nick Bolton at his ear before the game, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Nick, okay, I know Austin Eckler got you a little bit last week, but what I want you to do, I want you to channel that demon that played against the Tennessee Titans last year, and your job, I don't care, you don't have to care about the pass. Your job is to just hit Jonathan Taylor on every single play. That will be your one job, because I don't think that the Colts can win this game if you just beat the living crap out of their run game. Get this defensive line, open up the holes with this from their offensive line, and just send these linebackers downhill and hit him. That's what they have to do. I don't think the pass game, Matt Ryan doesn't worry me. The receivers don't worry me. I'm not the biggest Michael Pittman fan. So even if he did play, I don't worry about him being Mike Williams. Like, that's not my thing. Like, I think that they're going to stop Jonathan Taylor. If we get a few deep balls thrown on us because of it, whatever. Matt Ryan is not going to be able to move on the spot and throw it down the field. So I'm not that worried about Matt Ryan beating them either. So it's all about Jonathan Taylor this week.
So it's just him, huh? Well, I hope we can slow him down, because that would make me a happy camper. Us going 3-0, that would be nice. I'm sitting here trying to focus on that Chargers game, just everything that happened and all execution and everything like that. Do you feel comfortable with the Chargers game, or do you, like, you know what I mean? Like, when you watch the game, you go back, you watch the game. Obviously, first half wasn't great. Second half, I mean, Mahomes didn't really put up really big numbers, but I don't think that was expected, especially with a team that we were dealing with right here. The thing that worries about me the most is it's just the offensive line. I don't know, and I don't know why. Like, is it just because it was them? Because, like, when you watched, especially that first half of football, oh my God, I was so worried about Mahomes' life. Like, I'm sitting here ready to drop insurance claims. But then the second half, I mean, they got to move him he got to move around a little bit more. But are you worried about protection in the future, especially like with like you said, like, you know, with the Bucs game and stuff like that? I mean, we're almost done with this 6-game series of insanity, and this is game 3 coming up, and I just want to make sure that Mahomes is protected. Besides, you know, and I'm thinking of Creed and Smith. Yeah. Are you comfortable with our offensive line right now?
I think the tackles are a little bit of a problem in pass protection. If you can match up, like, the biggest thing is that Bosa and Mack might actually be the best pass rush duo that they face this season. And you got that in week 2. So there's a little overreaction to how it looked in the first half. They did a better job of helping them out with chips in the second half and just being a little bit more conscious of running the ball and letting Patrick find the holes and step up. Like, he was better about doing that, and that's the big takeaway for me. Is not the pressure that he dealt with in the first half. It was going to happen, and they adjusted to it, which is the better half of that. They could have just let it happen all game. They didn't let that happen. So I'm not too worried about it right now. If Orlando Brown continues to get beat as badly as he has been beaten, and you know, Andrew Wiley is Andrew Wiley, and Lucas Yang doesn't come back, which I think he might be an improvement right now over Andrew Wiley at right tackle, which is saying something. So it's all about getting healthy and hoping that they can still find ways to help when they need to help. But again, the pass rush that they faced on Thursday was probably the best that they'll face all season.
Hopefully you are right, because I don't know.
I'm hoping.
Be on my toes. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully you're right, and we don't have to deal with that ceiling. Obviously, we'll have to deal with them again, but it'll be farther down, right? We don't deal with them until like November,
something like that. Yeah, it's down near the end of the
like then the end of the season,
closer like that. Yeah, I think.
I mean, I hope so because just the way like you said, Wiley really kind of got because I don't know if you watch Baldinger's breakdowns or Baldy's
Sometimes, yeah.
breakdowns or whatever. I know you do yours because yours is about as good as his. Y'all both get into the intensity of the routes and how everything ran, and he showed this play where Wiley just got beat up. Like
Yep.
it was really sad, and that's why I wanted to ask you about the offensive line. Like, I want the Mahomes to have the best, like like how Manning used to have. He never went to a team unless he had the best offensive line, period, protecting him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you bring up Orlando Brown and him wanting money, and he's not playing to his suits. I mean, yeah, we're not running the ball, and that's what he used to be used to playing in, Baltimore. But it's been a little while. He knows as a veteran, or he knows as a seasoned pro that what kind of team we are. And I was figuring that he would try to improve in the offseason. I don't feel like he did.
Andrew Wiley is what he is. He was a UDFA. Yeah. Let's not forget that he's a starting right tackle when he's a backup. So he is a backup right tackle when he is their starter. That tells you, I mean, he is what he is. He's not going to just get better. I don't think he can. And that's not his fault. I love that he's been able to do what he can do because, again, UDFA was a backup. Now he's been thrust into that starting role. And I think that he's done well, given the fact that he is a backup player. And you can't really ask him to be a top 10 tackle in the NFL or a top 10 right tackle, but that's not his fault. It's not his game. So I'm just trying to give him a leeway with it, understand that maybe Lucas Niang can come in and be a little bit better because, again, Andrew Wiley's a backup, but he's been forced to be a starter for this team.
That's true. I mean, you're right. You just see him. You see the elite player like that, and then you see what happened to him against the Chargers, and you get that Tampa Bay Super Bowl back in your head again, like him just running. Unfortunately for us, he kept finding the open man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially that sidearm pass, which I don't know how in the hell he keeps doing. Like my buddy Stubbs always says it's his baseball background that gives him the ability to swing like that, and that's so dope. But I don't want him to do and I'll tell you now, that video I did a while back ago on the RGR channel, I talk about him being boring, and a lot of people got mad at me about that. And I wasn't saying like play like a robot. I was just hoping that this season his protection would have been more of a priority so he could be a boring quarterback, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's also like that's what Patrick Mahomes is.
I know. I'm not trying to kill him for who he is.
No.
I just want him to play more safe. You know what I mean? Like, we want him to be here for the entire 10-year tenure. Luckily, we've been lucky enough. I don't want to burn any bread or anything, but we've been lucky enough for him to be as healthy as he is now, even with the shots that he is taking. Even against the Cardinals even in the Cardinals game, he took a mighty powerful shot before that touchdown that he threw, and the Chargers game. I just worry about his protection. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me nervous, and I know it's going to take a while to get the offensive line built. It takes forever to build an offensive line, at least a decent one. But you're right, man. I mean, Wiley is Wiley. He's going to be who he is, but I just expected more out of Orlando Brown this season for asking money, for saying, like, he's put himself on this pedestal. Do you think he'll actually earn that? Like, he went out of his way and said, I'll make sure that Mahomes will never be touched. Lie. Then he wants more money so he can, pay him for the player that he is. That doesn't seem like it's coming into fruition either. So what are you feeling with Orlando Brown as a total? Is this a sham, or is he actually trying to play to get better? Because
I mean, you can't always control what you are, and that's the thing, is that he's not a huge.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, but it's crazy to me, man.
He's just not the best athlete in the world, and I think that's been the issue all along, is that he's a good player, and that's why he was really good in Baltimore. What they do is it's not based on vertical sets and having to beat a defensive end to his spot. It's he can attack more in the scheme that Baltimore runs, more power, and they're a much more run-oriented team. That's his suit. This is a pass-heavy offense where you're asked to be athletic, and if you're not athletic, you have to have really good technical skills. See Mitch Schwartz. He's not the most athletic guy in the world, but he knew exactly what he was doing, where everyone was going to be. The most studied, the most technical. He knew how to do everything, like a mathematician with the angles and having counters and everything. Orlando doesn't really have that. He doesn't have that in his arsenal. So whenever he said that he wanted to be paid like the highest, and I said no, that's never going to happen, because in this offense you're not going to play like a top 5, top 7 offensive tackle at your position. You're just not going to, because it's not your strength. So I'm hoping that he can just get his feet under him, because right now he looks like he's playing out of position a little bit. So I'm hoping he just gets more comfortable, and as the season goes along, he will get better. Mahomes and him will get better, but he's just not going to be a top of the market player. So he's not going to get paid. At least not the way he wants.
Like you said, you are who you are. You have to be who you are. And it just upset me that he put himself on this pedestal, because he was just like, oh, I'm going to protect Mahomes. I'm going to do the best I can. I just don't feel like you not doing that. And like you said, he's a pass protector. He's not a run protector. So, I mean, it's just really silly that he went through all this trouble for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, why go through all this trouble? Why run your mouth? Why go through all this stupid shit just to be an average guy? Like, I won't say average, but he's not the guy that he says he is. I just don't feel that. I don't, man. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, by week 7, we're talking about how great his game has improved.
Oh man, I hope so. That'd be great. That's what I want. I want them to be the best that they can be. That's it. I don't want them to be bad.
Yeah, I don't want him to be bad. Me being right will be kind of the counterproductiveness of what I want from the offensive line. But it's just, I just don't feel like Orlando Brown's just doing it. Like, it's, you sold yourself some goods that you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And that just worries me going through games of the future. I mean, we're going to have some pretty difficult. We got the Bills and everything. I really hope he just steps his game up. It's just, that's why I had to ask you about the offensive line, because I'm so sus about it right now.
I get it, man. I get it.
The offensive line in the Colts game, of course, it looked great. It looked amazing, but then when we put those playoff teams up against it, it didn't look like that at all. And I know they're a difficult team. The defense is better. Their offense is better. You got a great quarterback in Herbert. You were going to get resistance. I didn't expect that kind of resistance. To be down 10, come back and be down by 10 again. I know that's our thing. We've been doing that since Mahomes has been our quarterback, but geez, it was really obvious that game, right? What do you say? What do you think, man?
Some games are going to go like that. They're just going to have some games that are tougher. Again, I think that Thursday Night Football played into a lot of it. You have that short week. In week 2, you're still not all the way in full contact ready shape, and that does take a hit. The Chargers are good schematically on defense. They're a very sound offense. They don't really do a whole lot on offense. It's really kind of boring, but they're effective with it, and it's a young defense. So it all looks like it was really, really hard for Kansas City, which it probably was. It's week 2, and it's going to look way better in a few weeks from now. So I'm not hugely worried about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You think you seen anybody balling out this Colts game?
I think McColl's going to have a game. I really do. I think they've been working to get him involved more. I think he's going to have himself a very nice game. And maybe on defense, I think Nick Bolton's going to have himself a lot of fun in that game.
You really like Nick Bolton, don't you?
I like him more this year than I ever have. At least I think that he can be a huge run-stopping linebacker. Obviously, he actually came off the field a few times on Thursday with obvious passing situations. It's not a strength, but in terms of, I love watching him against these kind of running attacks. It makes me happy seeing him go down and lay people out. That's what I want to see from him.
I hope so too, man, because you're right, man. And we really should ignore the sports media world, because I feel like we're, like you said, I feel like they want us to fail so hard. I feel like we're now the Patriots of the old.
That's how it works.
People are celebrating more of Mahomes' failures than his successes. And it's,
Always will be.
I know haters will be haters. They come in full all sizes, but like, damn, like I was expecting to flick through the TV and everybody going, oh, well, Herbert, he had a great performance, but it's just Mahomes being Mahomes. He wins. No, the narrative, like almost everywhere. Oh, Herbert was the better one. The Chargers are the better team. The Chargers are the better team. They're clearly the better team all around. I know the Chiefs won, but like when you hear stuff like that, especially being you, because what you do is basically what they do, but actually better. Like I know they're doing it for playing devil's advocate and all that, but when does the ignorance stop of that kind of attitude? Like
It won't. Like, this is gotcha journalism now. That's what they want. People are trying to get views, and the way they do that is by saying nonsensical things on TV. And unfortunately, that's just the age that we live in. So that's why I've shuttered myself into watching, actual good content being produced by people that take it seriously and
Right.
not people on TV.
Because it's so annoying. Like it's annoying as hell. It pisses me the hell off. Like no lie, because you would expect somebody of Mahomes' caliber to. I don't want everybody kissing his ass, but
Mhm.
I want everybody acknowledging, like, man, he's the best. They're so quick to try to find the newest toy. It is like, well, oh, Mahomes is chopped liver. All of a sudden, like you have the patience of a saint, Dan. Let me tell you that, because I know you. I've seen you furiated.
Yeah.
I've seen you pissed, especially on some live streams after some pretty bad.
Oh,
games.
yeah, man. It gets nuts.
Like what, as being you, because especially how you do your proper reporting, you do your proper play downs and breakaway plays. What makes you feel so? Why are you so calm when you hear this kind of rhetoric? Like, what puts you like? What takes you out of that mind state of what takes you out of that mind state of just being like that? Like, what makes you not so pissy?
I know it's just all on purpose. They're trying to get reaction. So I just told myself,
Oh,
like a year or two ago that it's not. It's just them trying to get people, all the click stuff, man. That's all it's about.
yeah, that is what it's all about. Dan, thank you so much, man, for sitting here and talking with me.
Yeah, man. No
I know
problem.
you have a very busy schedule. And lastly, man, I want to ask you one last thing before we go, man. What is your prediction of the game?
For the
Give
Colts
me your
game?
score right quick.
Oh, man. I don't think it's going to be very fun for him, but I know Andy Reid. He'll probably take the foot off the gas in the second half. So I'm going to go ahead and say right now 38-14, and that's being generous.
That is, I guess that is being generous. Y'all hearing the score from your boy Big Chief Shawn right now, okay? 30-15. Like that. Like that. It's going to be like that. Player of the game. I'm sorry, Dan. Don't be mad at me, but I'm saying MVS. I'm sorry.
Go for it. I hope it is. Honestly, I hope it is, because that way they would really start to be an offense that you can't contain. If he could start being like that, I'd be all about it.
And defensively, George Karlaftis is finally getting his 2 sacks.
Okay.
I keep saying it.
Here for it.
I'm here for it, man. 100%. Thank you so much for taking your time with me, Dan. Y'all, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dan Harms of RJR Football, one of my fellow going rogue mates. Basically, the analytics man of the RJR Football world. Please go see. Please, you are doing yourself a service when you go see this man do his work. So go to RGR Football right now. You sub to the channel. You like everything that's got his face on it. Hold up this way. Everything that's got his face on it. You understand? Because this man knows everything he knows about football, ladies and gentlemen. I will have the link down in the description below, so you do that. And matter of fact, while you at it, why don't you put a like and sub on mine thing too? You're here, you're watching the stream, you're loving it. Why don't you hit the like and subscribe button as well? This is your boy Big Chief Shawn saying thank you everybody for staying here for the entire link. Thank you so much, Daniel Harms. Hopefully you'll come back and do this again.
You know it, man.
Hopefully so. I hope I didn't bore you too much.
You're all good, man. I'm always welcome to come back on.
Thank you so much, man. So y'all get out of here. Y'all get ready for some, y'all get ready for some Monday Night Football or something. Get out now. Peace. Oh,